Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare.
Someone came angrily stomping up the stairs, then the person got to her door, turned the knob and opened it, but there was no one there. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. People of Reddit who work in haunted hotels, what are your stories?
Number 1.
I worked in IT for a guy named Mike Milken. We would rent out pretty much all of the Beverly Hilton for a full 7 days. I asked every staff member I could about any other worldly experiences. I heard a couple of people talk about Merv Griffin, the game show creator / host / composer. He bought the place in the 80s and loved to hang out there after he retired. After he died, the staff said they would see him not as a ghostly shape, but as actual Merv, walking down one of the hallways near the kitchens occasionally. Ultimately though, the cleaning staff was terrified of the 8th floor. It's not a tall hotel, and the 8th floor was a party-type room. It was a medium-sized banquet-type area with a low ceiling. It has a bathroom and a view of Beverly Hills with rounded red leather couches and maroon velour-sided walls. There is a curved bar and glass tables with razor blade marks on them from the copious amounts of cocaine that had been chopped up for consumption. I know you see this room in your head skull right now. The story goes that there was a lady that would go up there and clean the place by herself after the parties were over. One night she was almost done and finishing up in the bathrooms cleaning the sinks. She heard a girl behind her, then something brush across her shoulder. She turned quickly around and no one was there. She turned back to the sink and there was a piece of gum where there had previously been none. She swore there was no gum in the sink prior as she was cleaning the sink when it happened, so that was her focus. After that, the cleaning staff would not go up there unless they had to at night, and then they would go in doubles. They also started to clean the floor in the morning, again with 2 people. My buddy / co-worker and I had to go up and check this out. We were getting chills listening to the story and had to see for ourselves. So, at about 9 p.m. we went up there as it was vacant for the night and we pretty much had run of the hotel. Right before we went up though, we saw one of the cleaning staff, and told him we were going up. And he got this look like, "You're an idiot." We head up, check the whole room out and take it in like I described above. We go over to the little bathroom where the gum incident happened, and we recreated the scene. I stood at the sink, my buddy brushed my shoulder and I turned around. Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. We didn't feel coldness or freakiness, just plain oldness on the top floor. We were a bit disappointed and were saying things like, "What did we expect?" type conversation. We noticed the weird music on the speaker in the elevator that we hadn't noticed coming up. It was a girl kind of singing / laughing, very eclectic stuff. When we got off we saw the cleaning dude from earlier and told him that we saw nothing. There was no ghost up there. Then my buddy mentioned the interesting choice of music in the elevator. The cleaning guy said, "What music?" And we replied, "The music in the elevator." He then pointed out that there is no speaker in the elevator, never has been. We shit our pants, went back into the elevator cautiously, because we couldn't believe that what we were hearing was not coming from a speaker. Being IT experts, we knew how to look for wires and speaker covers and such, and there were none. It was an old elevator that just wasn't wired for that. We noped the F out of that elevator and tried to avoid it the rest of the time we worked there.
Number 2.
I worked as a housekeeper at a haunted hotel for about a year. There's many stories I could tell, but there was this one room that effed me up mentally for months, still have nightmares about it now. So the hotel is a grade 2 listed building, a manor house that was converted into a hotel. It's said that the family who built and lived there had their bedrooms where room 1, 2 and 3 now are. The rooms are out of the way and down a dark corridor which gives them an eerie feeling, but they're decent rooms. Number 2 is one of the biggest and luxurious rooms to stay in. However, it's rumored that when the house was being converted that the builders found a skeleton of a child in the fireplace that's still in that room. The room opens up to a long corridor, the bathroom on the left and a super king bed in a huge living area looking over the gardens. I never felt right in there, but things got worse a few months in when I started having nightmares that I was being chased down the room's corridor. I'd never see what was chasing me, but I'd be filled with terror. The corridor would just keep going for what seemed like forever, but when I'd reach the door, there'd be no handle. I had that dream every night for months. My teeth got damaged from all the grinding and so exhausted that I could barely do the job. In the end the place got me so depressed I was self-harming again, something I'd been clean of since I was a teen. Since quitting the job, that dream, and my mental health improving, the dream became much less frequent, but I still get it from time to time when things are bad. The whole hotel is toxic, but that one room still continues to haunt me.
Number 3.
Worked in a haunted hotel for about 3 months, noticed all the internals were from the time the house was built, which is why there's occasionally issues with electrical equipment or a sense of unease. The building itself is generating a small electromagnetic force, but apparently explaining that to people is grounds for getting fired.
Number 4.
I had a few rooms on my floor that I was uncomfortable with being in alone. We weren't allowed to turn on the TVs, but I didn't care. In those rooms the TV absolutely had to be on, and on Comedy Central to keep me entertained. I figured out early on while working my floor which rooms were different. Flickering lights, cold spots, that feeling you get when someone is standing right behind you, but actually the creepiest one is the feeling of somebody's face being right in front of yours.
Number 5.
I worked in a Marriott as a bartender. The restaurant side would close earlier than the bar. It was a giant room and set for next day's breakfast. There was a ceiling-high partition along the middle of the room. My bar was on the other side, along with a patio and pool. There was barely any staff at that time of night, basically myself and the front desk almost a block away. I had to walk through the restaurant to access the kitchen. I usually did fruit prep late when it was slow. So many times I walked through the restaurant and saw an older lady sitting in the same seat by herself. And every time, I would say, "Ugh, here we go, dumb customer sitting in the dark, too stupid to know the restaurant's closed." I would gear up for drama, but then she suddenly wouldn't be there. She didn't scare me. I prefer her over some entitled Marriott Rewards member lol. While I worked there a cop killed himself in the room. That hotel was known for people checking in and committing suicide. I also worked at another haunted hotel before furlough, same kind of late night alone thing. That one was a guy. And I saw a blonde chick there too. This was the middle of the day at the more recent job. The place was built in '39 and it had house troops in the Second World War. I was in the kitchen, which for some reason was in the basement. I walked up the stairs past the restaurant and the server/coffee/soda station, which was semi-walled off to hide the staff. The kitchen had just told me we were out of pork, so I was headed back to the bar to tell the customer. At the coffee station was a chick I really didn't like, blonde girl, early 20s. I ran past her, and then decided to do the right thing. I turned to yell, "Hey 86 pork okay?" I saw the top of her head, blonde straight hair over the wall/divider thing, it was bent down. I figured F it, she's probably on her phone, and ran around the corner. And there she was, by the front desk. I was like, WTF, who's in the coffee station? I went and looked. Nobody. The front desk guy said to me, "What's going on?" He was watching me. I said, "I think I saw a new ghost, not the guy one that hung around the bar." He said, "By the coffee station." I said, "Yes. A girl," and he said, "Blonde, right?" I was like, "What the F, you saw her?" He was like, "Yeah, earlier today," and we compared what we saw. Then he said, "You saw it, right?" And I said I saw it so clearly I told it to 86 the pork. That was it, one thing I can say. I never see their faces, but this one was the clearest I ever saw. I looked it dead on. The 1939 hotel, it was a smallish boutique kind of place, not huge. The lobby was about 25 by 25 as you walk in, and directly ahead there is a hall with rooms. There was one room that the overnight security guard, Andre, would talk about. He was a huge guy. Like professional football player size, born and raised in Miami. I thought he was joking about this room at first, because I would always mention Leroy, ghost, and he would look at me from above with this kind of half smile. Like he thought I was nuts. I only saw Andre intermittently, but one day I caught him and asked about the room. He looked at the overnight lady, also the same type of person, no nonsense, older, quiet. She smiled and said he won't go in that room. So I said, "Let's look now. Me and you, if nobody has checked in." He looked at me all crazy and said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Of course." He refused to go in, but unlocked the door, and as I stepped over the threshold the power in the whole building blew and the emergency alarms went off. We almost shit our pants lol. He ran off to turn the alarm off and I walked in. But it was incredibly uncomfortable in there. I hated it. I wouldn't go back in there again. I have spent the night in graveyards. I'm not faint-hearted. More interesting than that is, that room always had problems, including this. Last New Year's Eve, 9 p.m, the lobby was full, the bar was full, open room off the lobby. The front terrace restaurant and the restaurant inside, room off the lobby. Super Bowl was gearing up, everyone was in town, it was madness. There's a big hospital nearby and people, and their families that have to go there stay at the hotel. This guy had been at the hospital with an illness, and been discharged and booked into that room. At 9 p.m. on NY Evie decided to take all his meds and kill himself. Survived. They wheeled him out through the packed lobby bar restaurant. I am sure he got depressed because of that room. That room is incredibly oppressive. Andre also mentioned there was a ghost in the kitchen. He would hear someone down there basement, banging around with pans and talking at night. I never saw or heard that.
Number 6.
I used to live and work at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado and have tons of stories. If you haven't heard of it, this hotel is where Stephen King stayed and was inspired to write The Shining, but not where the movie was filmed. I was a ghost and history tour guide for the summer, so have a whole list of crazy things that I experienced and stories. A few of the more interesting personal experiences. I was sitting in our dorm and a picture in the hallway fell off the wall and shattered. Doesn't seem weird until I looked at it and it was laying on the ground face up, almost as if someone took it off the wall and slammed it on the ground. My coworker and I were sitting in her room drinking and someone came angrily stomping up the stairs and down the hallway. We were thinking we were busted. Then the person got to her door, turned the knob and opened it, but there was no one there. It was known that there was a creepy brothel owner that liked to haunt the hotel. One time I was giving a tour and talking about this creepy old man, and my hair got tugged and no one was behind me. People on the tour thought I was faking, but I'm a terrible actor. Anyway, those are pretty fun ones. I have a lot more one-offs, like getting crazy pictures with figures in them, smelling Mrs. Stanley's perfume as she walks past, couches moving around, etc. Everything was pretty lighthearted and not too freaky. Great place to visit. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.